Hello. All right. Pelvic Health 101. This is the core essence of pelvic health information that I think every pregnant and postpartum should be receiving. So here we go. Let's dive in. Stopping for a moment for a knowledge check. I want you to get out your notebook and write down some thoughts right here, right now. What comes to mind when I say pelvic health? What does that make you think of? What is your experience with pelvic health? Have you had a class on it where they talk about pelvic health? Have you talked about your pelvic health with your doctor? Have you had conversations with girlfriends or with mom? What is your experience with it? Another thing is, what are your emotions around it? When I say pelvic health, what emotions does that bring up in you? I know that question's not here, but does it make you curious? Does it give you a sense of a little bit of like, oh no, like dread or pause? When I say pelvic health, are you like, I don't even know what that is. I know it's like pelvis, but I really don't know. It's okay. Just recognizing where you're at. Have you ever discussed your pelvic health or something that you currently view as related to that with your medical provider? And what was that? I had pubic bone pain and I talked to the doctor about it. How did that discussion go? How did you walk away? Did you walk away feeling like, oh my God, that was so helpful? Did you walk away with, oh, she gave me some great resources? Did you walk away with like, I have no idea and I don't even think that was productive? Now, if you haven't talked to a medical provider about your pelvic health, why not? Is it because you haven't had any reason to? Or is it because you didn't know what to ask? Or because even though something was bothering you, you thought maybe, well, this is kind of normal, there's nothing that can be done about it, so what's the point? Take a minute, stop the video if you need to reflect on these things. It's a really good to recognize and acknowledge where you are right now before we start. Okay, I hope you did that. Let's keep going. So common myths, these are the big four. Kegels. Do your Kegels and everything will be fine. As if you attended my workshop about the elements of optimal pelvic health, I talked a lot about this. And that my view is that we should be offering women prescriptive Kegels, meaning Kegels are not a blanket problem solver, cure, health promoter thing for all women. Some women need Kegels. They need them regularly as prescribed, typically by doctors. Some women should never do a Kegel in their life. And many women are told, okay, do Kegels, but they're actually not even doing Kegels correctly. So Kegels, they're not like a myth. Yes, they can be helpful, but just blanket saying everyone with a vagina should do Kegels is incorrect and a myth, because everyone with female anatomy should not do Kegels. Leaking. This is a big one that I've heard a lot in mom exercise groups joking about. Like, oh yeah, I leak a little, or if you're leaking a little, which is totally normal, just do this instead. No, leaking is not normal. It can and does very commonly occur, but it's not normal. And it's not something to be shrugged off as, oh, I had a baby, so this is just what happens. So saying, no, you had a baby and things are weaker or things are tighter or things are off in imbalance. But leaking does not need to be your norm because it's not normal. And it very often is corrected and easily corrected. pelvic floor isolation. So the thought that if I have a leak or if I have pain, it's just related to my pelvic floor. No, more often than not, my treatments are extending to whole body related things because everything's connected. And when we just treat that one little muscle spot where you're having pain, yes, it may make it better for a period of time, but what is actually causing that to arise? And sometimes that very focused approach can work and it's all that's necessary. But more often than not with the pelvis, this is why I have elements of pelvic health framework. It is many things interrelated that if not fully addressed holistically, it is not a solution, a long-term solution to that problem. So we can't treat the pelvic floor in isolation. We need to treat it in a holistic way. Breathing. Breathing is not related or linked to pelvic floor problems. Yes, it is. In 100% of patients I have seen, breathing is a component of their pelvic floor dysfunction. So across the board, in my experience, breathing is intimately linked to pelvic floor dysfunction and function, and understanding what is normal and what is optimal for breathing is your job in this course. And I will be giving you that information and offering you ways to practice. So those are some top myths. I'd love to hear more things that you've heard, and share those in the Facebook group. Just like, I've heard this, and I will let you know if that's a myth or that might actually be based on some good facts, and we can explore those. Okay, pelvic health. Pelvic health pertains to all parts of the body below the belt and includes bladder, and bowel health, vaginal health, uterine health, sexual health, and muscles and structures. So this is a definition from the book Below Your Belt about what pelvic health is. Now, I just contradicted this slightly, saying that pelvic health is really a full body thing. So, but this is a good definition. Like the basics of pelvic health is bladder, bowel, vaginal, uterine, sexual, muscles, and structures in the pelvic region. And that is a good core definition. Excuse the children in the background. So pelvic health versus pelvic floor. What's the difference? Like I like to call myself a pelvic health therapist because I don't just treat the pelvic floor muscles. I do more holistic than that. Pelvic health is really the overall health of every structure in and linked to the pelvic region. Optimal pelvic health is not just physical, but also includes emotional, mental, spiritual, social, environmental factors of health. You can have good physical pelvic health, yet still have less than optimal pelvic health. So the physical component of it is just one part. There's a lot more to it. So you can have perfectly functioning musculature of the pelvic floor, but not be in optimal pelvic health because you don't have safe, trusting relationships. You don't have comfort in talking about your pelvic health. Maybe your breath isn't linked to it, and no, it's not currently causing a problem, but down the road, it's likely to develop a problem. So are you in optimal pelvic health? Well, maybe in this moment you are, but your breath is not. So I can go on and on, but we need to look at it in a more system approach rather than a piecewise approach. Now, the pelvic floor is a little bit more specific. It is the bones, connective tissue, ligaments, nerves, 14 muscles that serve the functions and assist with the functions of elimination, intimacy, and organ protection. This is getting to the more physical side of things. And often when it is specifically a pelvic floor problem, you will need to seek out a pelvic floor therapist to assist with getting you back to an optimal state. There are things you can do that are very simple and basic that can help, but sometimes it goes deeper or more skilled. And we are the experts in the bones, the connective tissue, ligaments, nerves, muscles of the pelvic floor that help with elimination, intimacy, and organ protection. Okay, let me see. I'm going to keep going here. Elements of optimal pelvic health. So print this and attach it to the front of that notebook, because every session we are going to be talking about where we're at in this framework. So today we're very much in this knowledge section and hopefully helping with this comfort section as well. There is a PDF of this in the template section of your Kajabi platform. So the elements of optimal pelvic health are knowledge, comfort, breath and relaxation, strength, flexibility, postural alignment, and relationships. And each of these have skills linked to them, exercises, activities, and each of them have, a lot of them have overlapping ones. So they can link together in a lot of ways. But at the core, because the goal of this is optimal pelvic health, is transforming those skills into habits. When I go to my gynecologist, I feel comfortable speaking about my sexual health, my vaginal health, and symptoms related to that. I feel comfortable enough to talk about it. And it's a habit that every time I go, I tell her how it's going. I don't wait for her to ask questions. I am there saying, you know what, this has happened and this has happened. And my health is doing this and that. This time of the month, this happens. And it's just comfortably coming out. You're giving her information that she can actually now better care for you. And you're comfortable doing it. So that's an example of a habit. Now, is it happening every day? No, you don't talk to your gynecologist every day. I mean, it might be once a year, but you're comfortable when you do, and you do it every time. So the habit integration is key, and that's what I'm really focused on supporting you in developing. And then there's the 7 steps to optimal pelvic health. So the first step is having this framework to work from. It's going to anchor your learning. You're going to learn about and gain knowledge in each element and what skills link to that element. Then you're going to step back and kind of reflect on it. What have I learned? And where am I in this? Like, are there certain elements I'm like, I'm good? Are there other elements where you're like, I need to work on that? And then you start laying out your roadmap as you go, okay, what would my roadmap look like? And there's a template to help with that. And you take informed action. You start doing things, trying to get those habits linked to support your pelvic health. So you're not having to devote half hour a day to doing exercises, or it's just integrated in and you can go about your daily life doing what you normally do and enjoy, but slightly tweaked or altered in subtle ways to better support your pelvic health. And then you have to pause and reflect. Number 6, adjust it as necessary. You're going to have successes and you're going to have challenges, and then you're going to have successes that turn into challenges, and that's because things change. You're no longer pregnant, you're postpartum, you have an infant. So things shift and change, and how you are going down that path, all of a sudden there's a fork in the road and you say, I can just keep kind of going straight, or maybe I need to go off this way. Going off this way looks like this. This is what I now need to do. And you've learned how to apply the critical thinking and skills and knowledge that you've acquired in this course to decide what is now the best course of action. Have I come to a crossroads where I actually no longer can manage this on my own? This has become too overwhelming. I'm at the end of my toolbox. I don't know what else to do. And now I need to go get help or go seek that pelvic floor therapist or that chiropractor, whoever it might be. And you do that. So you're altering and adjusting that roadmap. And then over time, hopefully the goal is step 7, you get to this habit integration. Your skills and knowledge that you've gained are just integrated into your daily habits. If it feels easy to maintain optimal pelvic health, and that's ultimately how it should feel. To get there can be a lot of work. Ultimately, you should not be needing to do a lot of things outside of your daily usual routines and rhythms to maintain good pelvic health. All right, I'm going to pause here and I'll see you in the next video.